Welcome to another celebration of the 50th anniversary of Title IX, and I am more than happy to welcome Deputy Director of Athletics at Bellarmine University, Pam Stackhouse. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you, Jordan, for having me.
First question, it's a broad question, but one I like to lead this discussion off with. What does Title IX mean to you?
I guess the first word that pops into my head is opportunity. I think what Title IX has meant, not just to women in sports, but women across the landscape of education, is just given more opportunities. And I think that's the first thing that comes to my mind is just opportunity and what it has done for women across all of higher education.
Kind of speaking about your career, that opportunity, what was your first foot into the door into athletics, and how did Title IX kind of open that up for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was so fortunate. I went to school. I had my undergraduate degree and my graduate degree at Louisiana Tech University, and such a great role model there. She was a coach on the basketball team, and then became an administrator. And for some reason, she saw something in a young Pam Stackhouse and gave me opportunities to be a graduate assistant within the athletic department. Started an academic support center for student athletes, and after my graduate degree, I got to be the director of the academic center. So it was kind of that, just seeing something in a young Pam Stackhouse. And I think when you think of powerful role models, it wasn't always just females, but in this case, it was, and her name is Mary Kay Hungate, and she's still there, was a successful high school basketball coach, successful college basketball coach, and now still an administrator there.
Kind of speaking to that representation of seeing a woman in an authoritative position, being able to give you an opportunity like that. How does that kind of set the tone for the younger generation of seeing women like yourself in authoritative positions, being able to have this authority over the world?
Yeah, I think too, I mean, representation is important. I mean, whether it's a female, race, nationalities, just being able to see yourself in someone else. I remember the first time I saw a women's basketball game on TV. It was just so exciting because I had never seen a women's basketball game on TV. And so it just opens the world up. I think it hasn't just been women that have enabled my career, but what I hope in that the opportunities that have been afforded to me, I've been very conscious of young people, not just women in my path, but that the opportunities that were given to me, I hopefully people can say I made good on those opportunities, that I passed those things on to the next generation. I think when you think of one of my favorite books is John Maxwell's Levels of Leadership, and he talks about the 5 levels of leadership, and the 5th level is that you've been at a place and you've invested in so many lives that it just keeps being passed down. And I think it's just important, going back to representation. When I took the job at Bellarmine, one of the questions that was asked in my interview, the committee, and I said I thought it was important that I looked at the website, and there was only one female coach at the time, and on the website. And I thought I want to be a role model that for young women to see that to stay in athletics, I don't have to coach. I think, there's been a generation of people that I want to stay in athletics, but the only opportunity was to coach, and to show other young girls that you don't have to coach to be in athletics. There's just a plethora of things and plethora of opportunities that you can go into. And hopefully I've been that for some young women here at Bellarmine.
Now, of course, we're going to talk about your coaching career, but kind of talking about moving into an administrative role, being the deputy director at Bellarmine. How did you make that transition from coaching into the other side of athletics?
If you talk to coaches, they would say that administration is the dark side. And so I did move over from coaching to the dark side.
Okay.
It was a transition, right? Because coaches, you want to implement something and then you want the result. That's just, everything is result based. And some of the things that I've learned in administration is more processes. Coaches don't always understand processes, that it may take a year or two to accomplish something. I think I've learned that the most in my transition. It was tough because I still had a coach's mentality. I think there are a lot of days, even in year 11 as an administrator, that I think like a coach, but I don't look at that as a negative. I look at that as a positive. I think that when that the rapport that I have with our coaches, I think they truly know that I understand the path that they take and they walk every day. I think our coaches truly understand that I care about them, and I can and show them in ways that maybe if you haven't coached, you may not have that rapport. I encourage a lot of our coaches, when they're done, when they want to hang the whistle up or close the locker, to seek administration, because I think athletic departments need administrators who have coached, because it does help. I think it helps when you can call BS to a coach, like, no, that's BS, right? Because I know. But more importantly, I don't think they're trying to BS you, just letting them know, listen, man, I got you. You're my top recruit. We hired you. We want to do everything in our power to help make you successful and help you be successful. And that doesn't always come with money. It doesn't always come with facilities, but it can come with, listen, I got your back. And I hopefully I want that to be my legacy as an administrator, that my job every day is to support coaches and student athletes. That's why I get to unlock my door and sit behind this desk.
Well, on the topic of coaches, you were quite the coach yourself, assistant coach at Purdue. You guys won the national championship back in 1999. What was that entire experience in that season like for you?
It seems so long ago, and sometimes it seems like yesterday. I think one thing I did learn in that experience is that I'm not that great a coach. I think it was magical. And I think if you talk to most people who have had the opportunity to win a national championship, they would describe that team as, I don't know what we did. I think we just kind of got out of the way and let magic happen. And that's kind of how I feel about that 99 team. I mean, we did have talent. So please, I think people think, oh, when you say it wasn't talent that won it, we did have talent, but we didn't have a bench load of talent, right? And I just think that the leadership came from within the players. Didn't have a lot of drama. They loved the game. And I mean, I'm sure if you listen to Dawn Stately today talk about her championship just 2 weeks ago, she would say the same thing, that it came from within the players. It wasn't top down. It wasn't coaches saying, you got to do this, you got to work hard, you got to get in the gym. That those kids probably had a vision, came together. They wanted something magical to happen. They knew they had the pieces to make magic happen. And they did, and they didn't listen to outside noise. I mean, I've heard Coach Stately talk about that this team came in knowing they were the best. They were the best all year long. They didn't listen to the outside noise, and that's magic. And if coaches could create that scenario every year, they definitely would. But sometimes it's not in a coach's control. It's in a coach's basically periphery to kind of manage it, make sure and nurture it and give it life, not try and squish it. And obviously, I think we did that in 99. I think most national championship teams and coaches would say it wasn't something that the coaching staff did, because if it was something they did, they would try and replicate it every year. It's just a group of people that come together, and magic is what comes to my mind.
Do you still have, or do you know exactly where you still have your championship ring?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have. Yes, I do. And it's in my bedroom. I have a tall jewelry case that stands, and it's right there along with, several other championship rings that, Big Ten championships, part of an SEC championship with the University of Kentucky, just being a part of wonderful people. I think when you think about athletics, when you go through your coaching career, even your administrative career, it is the people that make the journey special.
How often do you stroll by that jewelry case and take a look at the rings?
No, often.
Pretty often.
I don't know the last time I put it on. It probably doesn't fit anymore. I wish I could take credit for that. I still give credit to the players who are now successful women, lawyers, business owners, mothers, just a great group of people. Our coaching staff, I mean, Carolyn Peck, who is ESPN analyst, and my friend Carrie, who was a head coach, and we, just a great group of people. But yeah, I look at it a lot, and but not as much as one would think.
Okay. Well, I just had to ask that one. So talking about those players who went off to be lawyers and ESPN analysts, it's obviously very important for you to be able to groom well-rounded athletes. So when they graduate, they go out and they serve as functioning members of society, and being able to have that confidence that you're sending athletes out and it's going to be a good journey for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what higher education is all about, right? It's just 4 years of incubation that we're in charge of, like I'm in charge of you for 4 years. What can I do to make you prepared for what's next? And I don't know that I have a checklist on how that happens. I think it's just investing. I mean, when I think of the word invest, I think about the young professionals we have in our department here. I hope that they would say that I invested in them. I took the time. When they were ready, gave them the opportunities to do some wonderful things. And I think that great coaches, great administrators, great educators invest in that incubation period, because it's only 4 years that we have them in college, right? And so what are you doing with those 4 years? Are you using athletics as a tool to prepare them for life? I mean, that's what sport is about, right? To experience diversity, experience failure, experience time management, and all the demands that life will put on you as a professional. And so I think it's an important incubation period that you invest in them. If they're crying, you're there. If you need to kick them in the backside, you're there for that too. But they have to know you care. And one of the quotes that I always use is, no one cares what you know until they know you care. And I think I coach that way. I think I lead that way. And I found it to be rewarding for me.
Coach, well, I know you have to get to a meeting later in the day, a board meeting. You're a very busy person. So I will give you just one last question, one that I like to end these on as well. What would the world look like without Title IX?
Very, very very black, I guess. I would say it would be very black, be very one colored. Doesn't have to be black. It just would be very one colored. I think about committees that I serve on. If they were all just one thing sitting there, it would just be maybe bland is a better word than dark, probably. Be very bland. I changed my answer. Very bland. I think you would have you would have one. You wouldn't have a lot of opinions. You wouldn't have a lot of external thoughts, different viewpoints. I think the world is a lot brighter because you have a lot more viewpoints, a lot more, people that can bring experiences to the table.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your story. Obviously, an amazing life story, winning a national championship, moving over to the other side of athletics, the dark side. But
the dark side, yeah.
I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much, and representing the 50th anniversary for Title IX. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan.